So like I say, yeah, if you only powered it up to 8, you'd have like 8 boxes available, then black out the rest because, hey, only 8 points of damage absorption are available. So one shield might be weaker than the other. It depends on how you allocate your shield energy. And you'll see, like say again, there's a box for each turn. So now moving along here, we're going to go down here, and you got to specify what your superstructure damage is, and or how much damage it can absorb. And this particular ship has 20 points of superstructure. So we go down here, and this kind of like works like your power tracks. You have 1 through 20 points of damage, or you can absorb 1 to 20 points, then again black out the rest. Now the relevance of this is as we move into the more advanced rules, as you take superstructure damage, it translates into crew casualties. People die on your ship. And as people die on your ship, it reduces your ship's effectiveness because you don't have as many people to man the guns. You don't have as many people to do damage control, so on and so forth. And the more people that die on your ship, the more your crew dies, the less effective your ship is in combat. So that's what that translates into. And then you start keeping track of your percent casualties. Now for this starting game here, we're not going to really get into the percent casualties. We're going to save that for a little bit more advanced version of the game. But for now, bear in mind when you get superstructure damage, you're going to mark it off on here. So that is the master control panel in a nutshell. And like I say again, you're not going to use these other forms, just these two. And to be clear, you don't use Vassal for this. You print these out and fill them out with a pencil. You know, good old-fashioned analog pen and paper gaming here. Now, for those of you who don't like to do that or don't want to, I have a spreadsheet version of this that you can load up, where you can go ahead and fill them out digitally and print them out, or just leave them digital altogether. It's up to you. But anyway, the simplest thing for you to do here is just print these and use a pencil. So next up, after we complete this, now we're actually ready to jump into Vassal itself and start a game. So you'll notice here I have 2 modules loaded up. 2.2 is something we're not going to get into yet because that also includes all kinds of player-created ships and a bunch of other stuff. 3.0 is kind of a cleanup effort by the guys who made the module, and it has just the FASA official ships. So 3.0 is where we're going. Now, if you've never run Vassal before, the first thing you're going to be prompted with is a prompt to enter a username and password. Now, the way these email games work is the game creates a log file, and we trade the log files back and forth, and the log file contains all of our moves. And you want the log files to be encrypted because we don't want people looking at our moves, because as we progress in the game, there's going to be scenarios where there's going to be hidden movement where you can't tell where the other guy is. And that sort of stealth is critical. Like say, particularly like if you're playing a Romulan using a cloaking device. There's game mechanisms which allow you to detect him, or when he reveals himself. So you don't want people finding out where the cloaked guy is on their own. Now, for our beginners games here, I'm going to be starting the game. You're going to be loading save games. So for me, okay, start save game, and we get our Vassal window here with the module loaded, and give you a quick tour of this. This is the chat window right here, as well as where all the different events for the game get logged. This, of course, is your map field. Basically, it's all divided up into hexagons, and they're all numbered. And if you click the sector map up here, you'll see that, hey, there's a lot more to the map than what you're seeing right here. Now you can scroll all over the place. Click it again and turn that off. And the window can be resized, all that. So, like I said, the first thing, we've already completed the first phase of our turn, which was power allocation. We're already done with that. So we jump over here and click the turn button. Oh, actually, I almost forgot something very important here. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, before we do anything at all, I need to start the log file. So we're going to start a log file. I'll say here, test log. Oh. And I'll say here, this is our demo game. Okay, so now everything that we do in the game from this point forward is going to be logged to the log file. And of course, those log files are what I'm going to be sending to you, and then you're going to send back to me. Those are different than Vassal save game files. All save games do is take a snapshot of the current, where the game is at any given moment. The log file contains everybody's moves. So make sure you turn on log files. Otherwise, you're going to lose your whole turn, have to do it all over again. So anyway, that's log files. So now we're ready to go ahead and get the turns rolling. So click on turn. It opens up a little turn window, which has a little helper here, which will tell you what phase you're in. And when you click plus, it goes ahead and writes to the log file about what's going on. So we've already done our power allocation, so that's why I clicked the plus button, because we've done it. Now, power allocation, all those master control panels, I already mentioned those are for your eyes only. You don't share the information on the master control panel with each other unless you're on the same team, because that gives information that your opponent can use against you. Now, there is a phase in the game called the sensor phase, which is used to try to gain tactical information from each other. So we'll get to that here in a moment, though. So tactical advantage. In this game, tactical advantage is for basically one purpose only. And if you looked on page 6 at the play sequence, it says what it's for right here. And it applies directly to firing. The player with the tactical advantage declares his targets last. Why is that a tactical advantage? Because then you get to see what your opponent's going to do, and you can go ahead and react to it. He's kind of the guy, whoever fires first, is kind of going in the dark here. The guy who fires last has seen what everybody does and can then make a more informed decision. That's why it's a tactical advantage. As we get into different versions of the game, like more advanced rules, what the tactical advantage is actually changes a little bit. But don't worry about that for now. For now, tactical advantage is all about who fires first. Now we need to roll a dice. In this case, we roll 1d10 so there we go, 1d10, I rolled a 10, which means, hey, I'll probably have the tactical advantage unless you guys roll a 10 as well. At that point, we need to do some re-roll in order to figure it out. But I rolled a 10, tactical advantage, and I'm ready to move on to the next phase. So I'll click again. Now we're into the sensor phase. Like I said, this is where you start learning, you have an option to find out tactical information about your opponent. So what you first do is you have to roll the dice to obtain a sensor lock. So we roll again 1d10. If you roll a 1 to a 6, you get a sensor lock. Anything higher than that, you don't have a lock. So here, I'll go ahead and roll a d10. I rolled a 4. That means I have a sensor lock. Now what I need to do is go back out to my master control panel over here on the damage control display down at the bottom where it says sensors. For turn 1, circle L. That indicates you have a lock for that turn. Now you bounce back out in the Vassal, have your sensor lock. Once you've obtained a sensor lock, that now allows you to ask a sensor question. And that will be what I will cover here in the next segment.